Hello and welcome. Aaron Taylor Johnson and his wife. I decided to do this because I saw a lot of people kind of confused about why people were talking about him recently and mentioning his wife. So I thought, we would discuss, but I did want to do a quick little trigger warning. I am going to mention words such as grooming and not the kind that, not a doggy salon, if you will. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is he? The man is fine as hell. The man is fine as hell. He was recently in Bullet Train, but I think about him the most. I think about him the most in Ana Karenina with Keira Knightley. I know this is crazy, but Keira Knightley did a period piece, so crazy. Now the signs of it all, right? He was born June 13th, 1990. He's 32 years old. He's a Gemini, Capricorn, Taurus, which to me sounds like a little Winston Churchill-y, you know what I mean? Like commands a presence, but somebody a little serious. Geminis are silly though. I love a silly Gemini, And Sam Taylor Johnson, his wife, was born March 4th, 1967. She's a Pisces sun, Sagittarius moon. And before we get into it, I just want to say, sometimes when I talk about age differences, a lot of people will be like, well, my parents met at that age. Well, my grandparents met and they were so-and-so years apart. God bless them. God bless them. It doesn't make it less weird, but if you're going to make it weird, I'm glad it lasted. So who is Sam? She is an artist, sculptor. She's a filmmaker. She's a photographer. She was part of a group in the 90s called Young British Artists, and she worked alongside people like Damien Hirst. She has had exhibitions at the Guggenheim. She had an exhibit called Crying Men. Some of the pieces from her exhibition. It's Robert Downey Jr., I believe. I know that chin anywhere. I know that little profile anywhere. This one kills me just because it's Robin, and I feel like we all miss him. But yeah, she is very, she's a decorated artiste. She directed 50 Shades of Grey, which was like the biggest debut for a woman director ever, I believe. Women. But it does get a little weird. It does. Yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Sam Taylor Johnson, part 2. So Sam Taylor Johnson's directorial film debut, Jesus, English, it's not easy, was in 2009 for Nowhere Boy. It was a biopic about John Lennon that started, I almost said John Legend, John Lennon, that began filming in 2008. Let's talk a little bit about Aaron too, because he's not new to the game either. Aaron started performing at age 6 in Macbeth and All My Sons, and he's been in a lot of movies. A lot of them that you've seen. You probably didn't even know that it was your baby boy. Shanghai Nights in 2003, The Illusionist, Angus Thongs, and Perfect Snogging. A perfect book and a perfect movie. Kick-Ass, and the sequel. Avengers Age of Ultron. Nocturnal Animals by Tom Ford, which is also horrifying, and I watched that on a date. What the fuck? He won the Golden Globe Best Supporting Actor for that, and he was nominated for a BAFTA. Cool stuff. And he's been in Tenet and Bullet Train, like I mentioned before. He did a fantastic job in Bullet Train. Loved it. A big fan of your work, babe. So the couple met in 2008. When they worked together on her, like I said, directorial debut, Nowhere Boy, about John Lennon. He auditioned for the role at her house, and she says that she just knew he was perfect for the role. She claims that there were like so many scheduling conflicts that she was like, just let him come to my house and we'll just do it that way. Like an Uber Eats. He later told Harper's Bazaar that he remembers exactly what she was wearing, and I'm going to read you the quote. I remember it very, very clearly. He said, I know exactly what she was wearing, this white shirt that she still has that I love. It definitely changed my life, though, not in the way that I expected. Well, he was 18 and she was 18 plus 20. She was 42 when they met in her house. They claim they were extremely professional. They claim that they were extremely professional throughout the entire filming of Nowhere Boy. However, this is from a Harper's Bazaar interview in 2019 with the two of them. Sam says, everyone on set knew. The director and the leading man had a connection, but there was no, she was the director, but there was no funny business at all during the project. However, The Guardian did a profile on Sam, and this is what they wrote. Whenever the rain comes, she runs inside the house, arm in arm with 19... You know what? We'll do it in part 3. Aaron and Sam, part 3. Here's the quote from The Guardian. Whenever the rain comes, she runs inside the house, arm in arm with 19-year-old Aaron Johnson, who plays Lennon. They dance and laugh like teenagers in the movie. I've never been on a film set with such strange atmosphere. While the rest of the cast and crew are welcoming, Taylor Wood and Johnson seem oblivious to the world. They are wearing matching padded jackets. Hers has the initials STW stitched into the back, and his has AJ. I asked Taylor Wood if everybody has them. She smiles. No, only me and Aaron. They all know who the top dogs are on this set. And she was married. This is Jay Jopling. He is an art dealer in London and a gallerist. They were married for 11 years, and then he was caught canoodling with a very young Lily Allen. And they announced their divorce September 2008. I believe Lily Allen was 22 years younger than Jay, and Sam's star of her film is 23 years younger than her. They have 2 daughters. One daughter was born in 2005 and the other in 1997, making Aaron 7 years older than her. They move in together March 2009 and begin going to public events together. And they cannot help themselves. They are doing kissing. And after a year of dating, they announce their engagement at the premiere of Nowhere Boy in 2009. Sam tells Harper's Bazaar, as soon as we finished the movie, he told me he was going to marry me. We had never been on a date or even kissed. Okay. And then this is a quote from Aaron. And a year to the minute after we met, exactly 1 year to the minute, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. God, that's romantic. That's fine. They ended up getting married in 2012, but they had a baby before that. Aaron tells The Telegraph, I knew instantly that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this person. I knew I wanted a family with her. I knew I wanted kids. And a month later, she was pregnant with our first child. Wow, this is an accelerated course. They had Wilda Ray in 2010 and then a son, I believe, in 2012. Romy Hero. Wilda Ray and Romy Hero are her children with Aaron Taylor Johnson. So both changed their last names to 2. I'm huge right now. Excuse me. They both changed their last names to a mix of their 2 names. Part 4, Aaron and Sam. I believe that you are starting to piece together why people side-eye. They also have matching tattoos of each other's names. I feel like I've watched enough tattoo TikToks where I know that's gonna fade terribly. Back me up, please. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're fantastic quality, and maybe this fading here is just like part of it. I believe it was Cosmo that said that they were the Kravis of their time, like Courtney and Travis, because of their PDA. I cut myself off. They were like making out everywhere, which is cool. They also renewed their vows in 2022. Let's read this caption together from Aaron, excuse me. Yesterday was the most beautiful day, summer solstice, our 10th anniversary. We renewed our vows to one another and confessed our love in front of our nearest and dearest friends and family. It was a celebration of love and joy. A decade of marriage. It's crazy. It was a magical, unforgettable day, and the sun did not stop shining on us both. We are blessed beyond belief. Sammy, you are my love, my life, my soulmate, my wife, my world. He also did this interview with The Guardian. Being in an amazing relationship, having come out of a difficult one, it felt so good, Sam told The Guardian while promoting 50 Shades of Grey, which she was encouraged to do and direct by Aaron. So obviously they're like heavily, okay, enough. So obviously they're heavily criticized and because of the age gap, because of the 23-year-old age gap. But I think it's more than that, and we'll get into that in a second. But they do feel like they have to constantly defend their relationship because they do. And they probably will forever. And Aaron says something that we hear from a lot of people who are in relationships with a big age gap. You probably already know what he tells people, but I'll read it to you regardless. Aaron has spoken about their age gap multiple times. Speaking to the Telegraph in 2019, the actor said, When I met Sam, I'd already lived a life far beyond that of most of my contemporaries. I didn't relate to anyone my age. I just feel that we're on the same wavelength. In December 2009, Aaron said, I'm an old soul and she's a young soul. They always say that shit. Always. I'm just mature for my age. I'm sure that's what she told. I'm sure you feel that way. Part 5, Aaron and Sam. And I just want to say this. It is not sexist or misogynistic or bullying to be critical of an age gap with such an obvious imbalance of power. That is really what grinds my gears and turns on my light bulb. My light bulb is this person, when she met this teenage boy, was already very successful and established in the industry. And she had very wealthy and famous friends, some of them being Elton John, and I already mentioned Damien Hirst. Let's get one thing straight. He was a teenager. I don't care how mature you are. You could be 18 and feel mature for your age, so you're what? You feel 22? You were a teenager. I'm talking to him. He was a teen, and she was an authority figure. She was his boss. I want to make it clear right now, it is never appropriate for an adult to pursue a teenager, and for Sam to call it anything else is lying to my face and calling me an idiot. Like, in a 2012 interview with The Guardian, Aaron, this is from an article about the two of them on Friday Things. Aaron hedged when answering Sean O'Hagan's questions about whether they really had fallen in love on set, saying, well, kind of, maybe. I mean, it must have helped that we already had a brilliant connection as actor and director. But as O'Hagan points out, when the paper's features writer Simon Hattenstone, Jesus, his last names, what about Simon Perez, visited the set, this is how he described it. Whenever the rain comes, that quote. Maybe her marriage was in a terrible place. Maybe he was cheating on her with younger women and that must feel terrible, And maybe the teenage boy starring in your film did flirt with you. Children do that, and that's what he was, freshly 18. And there's no way I'm going to blame the child in this. Imagine me at my grown age. I'm younger. I'm 32. I'm younger than she was when they met. Imagine I come on TikTok and I introduce you to my 18-year-old boyfriend. And they've both stressed that Aaron made the first move. If I went to a high school and a senior kid, let's say I go speak at a high school and a senior kid told me you're really hot. Okay. Part 6, Aaron and Sam. He said this to Glamour UK in 2015. I don't engage with talk about the age gap, AJT told Glamour UK. At an early age, when I saw the articles, at an early age, and I saw the articles, it just fucked me up. What does it even fucking matter about the age? I never noticed it when we fell in love with each other. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. It is not sexist. It is not sexist to question an age gap. What would be sexist is to make fun of her appearance. I saw some people calling her a fossil, but you know what I say about physical appearance? Why can't the things they've done be bad enough? Why do we have to bring in the physical? You know what I mean? And I feel like we'll continue. In 2017, right? He says this: if I gave a second thought to other people, I would be the unhappiest person, probably still in a miserable marriage. This is from Sam. Sorry, Sam says this. I'd be in a miserable marriage. People like to talk about it. I'm like, yeah, it works better than my last marriage. I am sure it does. You made it that way. You got pregnant immediately. So I would like to read you the definition of grooming, okay? Grooming is a method used by offenders that involves building trust with a child and the adults around a child in an effort to gain access to and time alone with her or him. In extreme cases, offenders may use threats and physical force to take advantage of the child, but more common, though, are subtle approaches designed to build relationships. Like matching jackets? The offender may assume a caring role, befriend the child, or even exploit their position of trust and authority to groom the child and or the child's family. These individuals intentionally build relationships with the adults around a child or seek out a child who is less supervised by adults in his or her life. This increases the likelihood that the offender's time with the child is welcomed and encouraged. Children in the U.S. include any person under the age of 18 to be a child. However, what the fuck are you talking about with an 18-year-old kid? Here's the thing though, teenagers have crushes on adults all the time, all right? You've seen stand-ups, these kids are like 15 years old talking about Harry Styles, right? That's an example. But that does not mean as adults that we act upon it. In fact, we have a responsibility not to. Part 7, Aaron Taylor Johnson and Sam Taylor Johnson. So many publications have written that to question this age gap at all is incredibly sexist, but I found this interview from 2010 from Elle magazine, written by Rachel Combe. And the way that she wrote it, I feel like a lot of people for a long time were kind of weirded out by this, but they couldn't outwardly say it. And I think truly, to prove my point, it's because of how established she is in this industry. That proves my point, okay? She meets up with them at the south of France, right? Quote, with her fiance, actor Aaron Johnson, they were vacationing. With her fiance, actor Aaron Johnson, who happens to be 20 to Taylor Wood's 43, and the star of her feature film directorial debut, Nowhere Boy, with their 6-week-old daughter and her children from a previous marriage. Who happens to be 20 is a weird way to talk about something that's supposedly so normal. But she goes on to say this: when a powerful man of a certain age woos a pretty young thing, people roll their eyes and even express censure, but they don't react as though it's diabolical or incomprehensible, but reverse the gender roles and everyone starts squirming. No, because if a man gets a younger woman, it's baller until that woman comes out 10 years later and talks about how traumatized she is. Isn't that how the story fucking goes? No matter how accomplished a man is, a richer, older, or more successful romantic partner is perceived as emasculating to him. Somehow he is always diminished by her power, yet a woman's reputation is generally burnished by landing a big fish. But let's get to the crux of the matter. We will still, even after all the sexual liberation and internet porn, recoil at an older woman's libido. Never mind her body. The issue is not a woman's libido. That within itself is sexist. Did you ask her about her libido? To assume that it's her libido and not her interest in a young, impressionable actor that probably looked at her like the world was in her hands, his world. Have you ever met a film guy? Like, do you have anybody that's creative, right? And they're your equal, your coworker or whatever, and they talk about their ideas and you're like, yeah. And then they talk to like a college kid and the college kid is like, oh my God, I could learn so much from you. And they like look doe-eyed at them and you're like, It's regular. He's doing his job. 2017 Harper's Bazaar. Naturally, a younger man wanting to be in a relationship with an older woman is a lot for many to compute. Such are society's sexist and outdated parameters of what a happy couple should look like. 2019 L. At the time, the age gap between the pair caused ludicrous and, let's face it, sexist controversy. Calling her old is sexist. Part 7, Sam and Aaron. Okay. So we read those publications that were basically saying like, oh, of course, a man can be with a woman who's so much younger. No, it was just normalized until women started coming out pretty recently within the last 10 years talking about how fucking horrible it was. It's so normal for a man to be with a younger woman. And of course, when a woman is with a younger man, it's disgusting. Has Sam experienced a lot of sexism and ageism on the internet? Yes. Does that make the case that she definitely groomed this man lesser? No. 1000%. 1000% she did. I don't care. Do you know that in their marriage, they're 10 years together? They said they've only been apart for 10 days. You think that's fucking normal? That doesn't sound groomy to you? You think that's fucking normal? And they said those were the worst 10 days of our lives. Sounds a little reliant. Sounds a little controlling. Sounds a little reliant. What the fuck are you? So every movie you watch him in, she's there. I also find it fascinating that these publications were talking in the name of feminism and in the same breath saying it's normal for men to do it. Okay. That Elle article that I mentioned ends like this by Rachel Cohn. Okay. I'm sure every 40-something working mother of 3 could benefit from having her partner gush about her like a teenager, like he invented love just for her. Then she quotes Aaron. I just feel like we're two souls that have been joined together. The only thing I've ever been sure of in my life is when I wanted to be with Sam. It's the only thing you've ever fucking known. And I don't want my partner to gush at me like I'm a teenager because I'm in my 30s. Grow up, ma'am. Why would I want an 18-year-old boy to look at me like I'm fucking 18? Why would I want a man to infantilize me? Because that's not what's fucking happening here. To convince this kid, that's what he was. This kid that love means always being together and worshiping her is fucked. But you knew that you could mold that. Cue the cheating rumors, right? So that's a hell of a squint, huh? All right, Zoolander. So he does Bullet Train, right? Opposite Joey King. The account Marissa, which, by the way, a lot of people make fun of her skin tone. It's actually medical. It's a skin disorder that she has, so shove it. She makes a blind item, and this sets off the internet. Part 9, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Okay, my girl, right? She makes a blind item, and anybody can make a blind item, just know that, right? Blind items are blind, anonymous, okay? And the blind item reads, and that's her TikTok, right? She's reading blind items and people can speculate, you know? It's very like page 6-y. Like, I don't know if you remember like in the 2000s and 90s, like tabloids had a blind item, kind of like Dumois, okay? What's up, Dumois? The blind item. I don't know if they hooked up while filming, but this married A-list actor is hooking up with this A-list tween actress turned A-B+ list adult actress. Sorry, Joy. I loved you as Gypsy Rose. During their press trip for the movie they shot. The blind item alleges that it happened during their Paris promotional trip for Bullet Train. So that's Aaron and Joey King. So even though Joey is engaged to the producer of Bullet Train, I believe, the producer and director, they were engaged in 2022, Stephen Piet, I think it is, and Aaron Taylor Johnson took his wife to the premiere. Here they are. the internet was really excited, even though the odds were not in their favor. The internet was really excited to hear that he was finally leaving his groomer, his wife. And there's another blind item that came a month later, and it read, "This blind item takes place 1 month after the Joey King blind item, when it was just Brad Pitt and Aaron Taylor Johnson in Japan promoting Bullet Train. This A-list actor, who is much younger than his wife, had a woman sharing his hotel room while they were out of the country." So, and this is like on the heels of like Adam Levine and all that, you know what I mean? Ned Fulmer, you know, like there was this like rollout of men being exposed for cheating. So people were like, oh my God, this is the next one. There's no evidence that they cheated, but I think like the internet went feral. See, hag is a crazy word, but there were tweets like this, tweets like this, tweets like this. Mima, that's not, see, I understand. I have to tell you something, like when you are delivering a message or a critique, people will always remember the delivery versus the message. I've said that before on my series, but basically it's hard to support when people are calling people names, right? Because it's so easy to say that's so sexist of you because of the name calling versus the streets are saying that Aaron Taylor Johnson cheated on his groomer. See, that's different. Part 10, Aaron and Sam. So they've obviously caught wind of this because their comments on Instagram are limited. But I want to read you some stuff, some quotes that I found. I also would like to say, I know there's a rumor going around that they actually met when Aaron was 9 because of family friends, but I can't find any actual like proof of that or who she was connected to. I will say he was in the business since he was 6, so maybe, but I can't say that with confidence. He has been quoted saying, you know, I want kids, so we had kids really early on, and to me, that does sound like entrapment. Journalists have also commented that during interviews, Sam will speak for Aaron. Ugh. And to the point of them not spending any time apart, I'd like to read you this quote from Reddit. I know Reddit is a hellscape, but sometimes you find a good quote. What can you do? So you gotta look. I don't know where those people work, but they're working. You ever have a computer problem? Head over to Reddit. I swear to God, it could be as niche as possible. Somebody's got the answer. Okay. And unlikely animal friendships. Reddit's the best place for that. A duck and a cat, they got it. Yeah. A dog and a pig, they got it. Anyway, interestingly, groomers and abusers often try to spend every minute with their partners, something that seems sweet on the surface, but is actually a tactic intended to isolate and manipulate victims into becoming dependent on the abuser. And Aaron is estranged from his family. Allegedly. I'm just saying. Next quote. It is unlikely that Aaron can get space enough to recognize the abusive nature of Sam's behavior at this point in time, especially after having been married to her for more than a decade. After having children with Sam, Aaron may also feel a certain type of responsibility to maintain the relationship and to shun such allegations against his wife. When she was pregnant and going to have his child, he did an interview where they asked if he was nervous to be a father at 19 to a 43-year-old woman. And he said he was not nervous because he was already acting as a stepfather to Sam's 2 daughters from her first marriage. A 19-year-old boy is already acting like a stepfather. This woman is all this kid has ever known. And it wasn't, I can't believe publications treated this like some feminist icon. Like she was breaking barriers for dating a teenager. I'm sorry. I struggle with conversation with 20-year-olds. But if you met me and I told you I had a lot in common with an 18-year-old, you'd look at me weird. Before I get the inevitable comments, right? But my husband and I, you know, I'm glad that worked for you. And when we talk about these things, they are so nuanced, right? And that's why I like to get into the details to paint a picture. I cannot paint your personal picture. And if your relationships or the relationships of your best friends, your parents, your grandparents worked, that's amazing. God bless. But there is an obvious imbalance of power here. I want to remind you that this woman is 55 years old now. I am his age. I'm 32. This woman is older than Jay-Z. When she was she was born in 1967. When she was like 8 or 9, Watergate happened. Do you understand what I'm saying? She has an advantage on life that he does not have. And she had an advantage of knowledge. She had an advantage of connection. She was already wealthy and established when they met. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm judging you. And I feel like sometimes the internet does that, right? If you see yourself in a story that's negative, maybe you feel like the person speaking is judging you. I'm not judging you. I don't know you, and I don't know your story. But these are facts. These are facts. That she was married and she was flirting with an 18-year-old boy when she had 2 kids, one that was 7 years younger than him. On his first feature film, she does not leave his side. She speaks for him, and he doesn't speak to his family. And I think those are important points. So I just want everybody to be safe, and this doesn't sound like a safe situation, and I don't like that people try to switch on the feminism when talking about this, because I love women. I will always side with women. I'm proud of being a woman, and I've never met a woman I didn't want to be friends with. But this is odd. This is odd. On a psychological level, this is odd. There's no way an 18-year-old boy would have that much in common with a 43-year-old woman, mother of 2. A married 43-year-old woman, mother of 2. There's no way. There's no way. My brother is 26. He shows me memes I can't even understand. He calls me a normie. It hurts my feelings. That's about me. But I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just judging the situation and the facts at hand, that they are abnormal. It is not normal. There is no way that I, 32 years old, could look at a teenager as a possible partner and stepfather to my tabby, Margelina Jolie. And to the inevitable comments, I will never be jealous of anybody dating a teenager. I did that when I was a teenager, and it sucked.